featuring chrysaschritt and GreenCleric. I will be doing commentary all by myself tonight, but that is okay. We got a pretty hype race going on. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, we're off. Excellent. Looks like GreenCleric is doing his configuration early before doing shopping. Oh, and Chris getting the blue-haired NPC troll. That will be a theme with this game. Maybe not this run specifically or this race, but that is a theme with this game. If there is an NPC with blue hair, it's going to get in your way. What you see now is GreenCleric and Chris doing what we call the equipment glitch. It turns the hammer into the knight's armor, and vice versa. It's actually a pretty simple glitch. It helps if you have your cursor on memory. It's not required, but you want to hit your confirm button and swap to a character on essentially the same frame. So it actually pulls up the equipment from one character to place it on the other. And if you start on an armor or weapon slot and you go to the other one, it'll actually transform that equipment into its respective armor or its respective weapon, because it's all a different set of index tables. It's a very broken glitch. And Chris, thinking that this is his last race. Interesting name choice there for him. Excuse me. Working their way up to face Garland, the Betrayer. And it looks like they're both getting their standard encounter trolls. Encounter rate in this game is very fluid. It can be very high or very low. Or it could be somewhere in the middle. And we see them turning left to pick up this leather cap. This leather cap turns into the Judgment Staff. Judgment Staff is normally a treasure drop. Or maybe it's a drop from Atomos himself. But it is dropped from Atomos, who is in the Life Spring Grotto in one of the Solos Chaos Dungeons, an added dungeon for the Game Boy Advance version. Staff is fairly powerful. You know, it's got 27 attack power, as you can see. But the main feature of it is that it casts Flare as an item. Flare is a level 8 Black Wizard spell. The most powerful spell in the game, and we have access to it 2 minutes into the run. And now Chris is going to get knocked down by Garland. Just going to pop him over the head there. Encounters were not kind, so we got a 3-minute Garland. It's still a decent time. And since we are winding down our group stages here, we're not going to see too many more races until we move on to the next phase of the tournament. So please, everyone, give these runners a follow. It's not just FF1 that they run. Some of them will do other games, but they are worthy of following, so please do so. And Chris in chat has some Bless RNG going on. I am your commentator's Chris today. Now we have obligatory cutscene. This is one of the few we cannot skip. We're merely just getting a bridge fixed and rebuilt, so our Warriors of Light can fulfill their place in the prophecy as told by Lucan. And I don't know if I'm seeing this correctly. I think that's probably just GreenCleric's stream. Excuse me. I recently just ate, so my throat is having an issue clearing itself. I'm just taking a victory drink to try and help clear that. But now that Chris has gotten through the bridge building part, and GreenCleric as well, they're moving on to the actual start of the game. The game has now officially started, as far as the storytelling of it goes. And that cutscene is skippable. If you mash X, as soon as it's done fading in, it'll start fading right back out again. And now we have to cross our first large section of forest. The forested tiles, I mean, you'll see Chris dodging that there. Forested tiles have the highest encounter rate of any tile in the game. Plains are neutral. They have the... There's 5 tiers of encounter rates. Grass is in the middle at 3. Swamp is 1 tier up, so it has a less encounter rate. I guess it's 1 tier lower. 1 tier lower than grass. Desert, I believe, is in the same tier, or maybe the least. Now that we see GreenCleric using his Judgment Staff on the pirates, pirates are getting some turns in. They are trolls. Now, it is possible for them to buy a leather shield and glitch a mage's staff, and that would kill them very quickly, because they only have 10 hit points, I believe, 8 or 10. And the Fire 2 spell is a much faster cast than Flare. Flare is an 8-second spell cast. However, it is extremely powerful and will kill just about everything this game can throw at you early on. But there's still cause to fight the pirates first, because you can get that leather shield drop from the pirates, so you don't have to bother going to the shop to buy the leather shield. GreenCleric is going to opt to do his ether shopping later, it appears. While Chris is... Okay, Chris is also going to do his ether shopping later. So when they get to Crescent Lake, they will buy 40 to 50 ethers, and they'll be set for the rest of the game. Neither runner's opting to do 15-tile puzzle. I'm pretty sure only 2 people do that now. Leonis and myself. 15-tile puzzle has an item in one of the tiers, which is the emergency exit, which would let you... It's essentially the exit spell in item form. And when you use that, you can escape from any dungeon. It's great for the Earth Cave, your first trip. Excuse me. And the Sahagins are giving Chris a little bit of annoyance. So Green has an early lead in Elftown. He's going to buy his golden eels. The golden eels are purely a safety item. There's a couple of risks of petrification coming up in the Earth Cave and later on in Citadel Trials. And if you get petrified, you have no means of removing that for basically the rest of the run, until you're able to get to another item shop that has golden eels. That's essentially Rip Run, which is not good for a race environment. So GreenCleric is having difficulty running from these wolves. The wolves have, I think, overall the 4th highest agility of any monster in the game. 4th or 5th highest. And agility plays into your running chances, because it'll take the agility of all 4 of your characters and compare it against the agility of all the monsters. And there's like a 10 or 15 point difference where it compares against RNG, and that has something to do with how you're able to run or something like that. I don't quite know the mechanics of it. It is different than the vanilla NES game. And that seemed to have to do more with luck than agility. You'll see Chris had the same issue trying to run, so he's just going to use Judgment Step to take care of the wolves. The wolves are just a pain. And both our runners are running low on HP. Chris is working his way towards Marsh. GreenCleric having more issues with wolves. We are having some serious RNG issues 10 minutes into the run. Of course, the RNG we would like to see are the 1 in 64 rare encounters that take up a few areas. Every area has a 1 in 64 encounter, but there are some notable encounters which we are keeping track of for the tournament. The most notable one is Warmech, which we, as of yesterday or the day before, have now seen 3 times in the tournament. First time was just on Speed Gaming the other day. We had our first Warmech appearance, I believe it was on RPG Limit Break earlier in the tournament. And there's still 2 other monsters I think we have not seen in terms of 1 in 64 encounters. We'll get to them later as they come up, but for now, they're going through the Marsh Cave. Those gargoyles have relatively high agility. They're difficult to run from. Chris, ooh, almost having an issue with the undead. Oh, and now we got the poisonous scorpions on Cleric's side. This Marsh Cave has not been kind so far. And, ooh, Chris got the max roll of Pisco Demons. This is good for experience. Cleric also getting a max roll. Ouch. And these Pisco Demons, even with Knight's Armor, can still hit very hard. They're all going to live, and we're going to have about 11:30 crown times for both runners. So we are neck and neck right now. We are going to take this crown and deliver it north to the Western Keep, where Astos reveals himself to be the king of the Dark Elves, where he has betrayed the prince of Elftown by cursing him and putting him to sleep with a magic spell. It is only with Matoya's Jolt Tonic will we be able to reawaken the prince. And that is one of a few fetch quests in this game. This game is very happy with its fetch questing. Yeah, easy for me to say. Chris has made his way out of the Marsh Cave. Cleric is just about out. Cleric deciding he wants to re-enter the cave. And there's Chris's second encounter with ogres. Those are the monsters you ideally want to see because they're easy to run from. They're also easy to kill if you choose to. They only have 100 hit points. But considering their experience gain, they're generally not worth killing in this category. And now Chris has made his way to the Western Keep. He does not need to safety save or heal up. The threat of dying is from Astos's first spell in his cycle, which is Rub in the NES version, where you get erased and then you're slain. In this game, it's simply just called Death. And if he does cast it, ideally you want him targeting the fighter. Oh, Cleric had the ideal roll, it just did not kill the fighter. Either way, it looks like a one round for both runners. And excellent kills by both Chris and Cleric. So Cleric's White Mage will be over 100 hit points. We'll see where the Black Mages are. We want the HP totals of the Ninja, of the Thief, and the Black Mage to be relatively high, so we do not have to use Giant Tonics later. Okay, so Chris's Black Mage is at 119. Cleric's is, as soon as we get to a battle here, 123. So Cleric's Black Mage is in pretty good shape so far. We'll see if this continues. HP growth seems to be rather, well, random. In the original NES game, if you have played it, there are so-called, if you want to use air quotes, strong levels, where you'll gain between 22 and 25 hit points per level. In this game, those still exist, but they are not set levels. And they just seem to happen based on RNG, if nothing else. And here's that forest encounter rate showing itself once again. We have... Oh, well, it was almost synced up. Wow, we have some... okay, it was synced up for a while there, but that's okay. So Chris is going to buy his gold needles now. He opted not to earlier. GreenCleric's shopping is already done. Now, both runners will have the same benefit from this. Every time you do a map transition, it will reset the encounter rate. So Chris's encounter rate will be reset going back to the ship. But since you're in the forest, it's not going to matter too much anyway, because your encounter rate's really high. GreenCleric did that on his way to the Marsh Cave. Our oceans have a lower encounter rate. I think it's the same as the swamp. It's still not that high. But the encounters have... well, the monsters in the oceans have high agility, so it is difficult to run from them early game. Once we get access to the airship, we'll already have high enough agility where it won't matter, even if we did have to use the ship again. Alright. So our runners are working their way towards Matoya's Cave. We got happy music in Matoya's Cave. However, the next time we hear this... Oh, I take that back, because we'll hear this one more time in the Dwarf Cave. But the time after that, in the Ice Cave, it will be very deceptive. It is a happy song, but it is not a happy place. And we are once again synced up. Cleric getting through the text just a little bit faster. But both runners now have their Jolt Tonics. Chris now opting to deal with the poison. His thief has 64 HP left. That's a decent total. He's going to keep his fighter and thief down to an approximate HP total around that, just so it's easier to kill them later. And killing them later will be necessary for grinding purposes. But both of our runners are still just not getting good encounters or good encounter rates. Oh, and the 7 monster ambush for Cleric, with 2 of them having 100% stun ability. They will always use stun as a move, those big guys. So that could actually be really bad. This is a formation where you could get a stun lock potential if you're not careful. More frequently on PlayStation, Origins, or NES. Not so bad here because you can deal with it with Judgment Staff. Or Black Robe if you have it. It's just so easy to lose time because of battles like that. Alright, so Chris now has his Mystic Key. It will open a lot of locked doors. There's only about 7 locked doors in this game that we have to worry about. There's one in the Elf Castle, which has some nice equipment, which Chris is going to now There's 2 in Cornelia Castle. There's a whole... there's 2 in the Shrine of Chaos, where we first fought Garland. And then there's 4 on Malorith's floor in the final dungeon. And I think there's 1 or 2 more after that I can't place right now. Oh no, Chris accidentally equipping that mithril hammer. That mithril hammer is used to glitch into Thief's Armlets. The Thief's Armlets have decent defense, but the real perk of them is that they give 5 points of agility for each one equipped. So you multiply that times 3 for each character, that's 15 points of agility as a bonus. We see Cleric having a little bit of equipment issuing himself. And Chris, he is getting the mithril knife. He's going to turn that into a black robe. Black robe is basically a consistency strat item. It turns into black robe, which casts Blizzara. It will deal, well, it's going to be situationally used when we use it, but it has a 2.2 second cast time compared to Flare's 8. And when we do start to use it, it will deal just as much damage as we need compared to Flare. It looks like Chris had a decent encounter rate up to that port. Oh, and Cleric is also picking up his mithril knife. He will also do black rope strats. Excuse me. And Chris just had, I think it was just 2 battles between the port and the cave. That's pretty good. Now Chris is talking to Narek. He is digging up the canal so we can escape from the inner workings of this continent. This will open up the rest of the world to us. Oh no, GreenCleric. The double Big Eye encounter again. He's able to get away. Those Big Eyes only have 10 hit points, so if he wanted to, he could have used pretty much anything to one-shot them. Nice recovery on his way to the Dwarf Cave for Cleric. And for some reason, these dwarves have Scottish accents. So now that the canal is open up, Chris is going to work his way back out. We're going to take our ship to the next nearby town, which is Melmond. We're going to buy our next piece of armor. Steel gloves, by themselves, not too impressive, but they turn into a very powerful piece of equipment. The Barbarian Sword is a drop from the strongest version of the Super Boss that was added to this version of the game. It has 125 attack power. It adds, I think, 18 to strength or 9 to strength or something like that. So it brings up your attack power to 134. If you want to compare that, the Masamune, which you find in the final dungeon of this game, has an attack power of 60. It has more than double the attack rate of the Masamune, the original best weapon of this game. And we will see just how broken this sword is coming up very shortly, as soon as Chris is able to glitch it. And you saw he only put the Barbarian Sword on his Thief and Fighter. This is a calculated move because his mages are going to be using different weapons for the rest of the run. for the most part, he won't need them to use physical attacks. He'll just rely on magic if he needs to. And that's kind of a little bit of a route divergence from some runners. There we'll still have a couple runners that'll put barbarian swords on everyone until they switch to the lust dagger. But it looks like Cleric is also doing the creating the mage's staff so he can do barbarian swords on just a fighter and thief, which is fine. It is a very viable strat, proven effective. And we see Cleric working his way down to Earth. Chris is in Earth, having a really good floor too. And Chris is having an insane stretch. Opting not to safety save, but really working out for him. I think he was at just 2 battles in the entire first trip down there. That is insane luck. Now we will see his fighter and thief just physically attack because goodbye. If you blinked, you missed it. Oh, Cleric going with a different route through the second floor. Chris now has his Star Ruby, so we can start the next sequence of the next set of items, which will be the Earth Rod. There's a little mini dungeon, just a cave really, where there's a giant titan blocking the path. He wants the Star Ruby. He doesn't tell you where it is, though. So we just have to go through this Earth Cave, kill the vampire, which had recently attacked and raided the city of Melmond. I have not personally played this game on mobile, so I don't know how different it is. But I believe mobile just uses the PSP version as a base. Oh no, Cleric, I think he might have been an autopilot. You can't run from the Pisco Demons. Alright, and Cleric is about to fight his vampire. Chris is working his way out. He's keeping his fighter poisoned specifically for a reason. He could unpoison him at any time. He's in perfect range for HP. We'll see if he does that. Yep, he's doing that. Okay. So his escape, not so good as the way down, but that's just the nature of RNG. Now, the emergency exit that I mentioned about 15 minutes ago would have come into play here. Once you pick up the Star Ruby, this would have been the perfect time to use it if you routed 15-tile puzzle into your run. However, the drop is only 1 in 6 because there's 6 different items that can drop on that tier. So you're not guaranteed to get that drop. At least there's no way to manipulate it that we know of. Cleric, yep, he's escaping. I thought he was going the wrong way for a second, but he's on his way out. Chris getting into a fight with some shadows. Normally, the shadows are an extremely high ambush rate monster. In fact, they're actually the highest ambush rate monster in the game. However, it's exclusive to this version. If you fight them, your preemptive rate and your ambush rate are actually swapped. So anything that would ambush you will actually you'll actually get a preemptive on, and anything you get a preemptive on, you would actually get an ambush. So shadows are now the highest preemptive monster rate in the game, which is a little crazy. So Cleric was able to make up a chunk of time there. He's only 15, 20 seconds behind now at this point. And now here we are in Sardra's cave. Sardra, if you've read the 8-Bit Theater webcomic, is the creator of Universe and sports a rockin' beard because of White Mage, which is a hilarious backstory all on its own. But here he just gives you the Earth Rod, which is used to break the seal of a plate. The plate of evil that is behind the vampire on the 3rd floor of the Earth Cave. So we have to go back there. And behind that plate is where the Lich of the Earth is. And he is the first fiend that we must defeat. Chris not having so great of RNG and counter luck. The Titan's Tunnel has an abnormally high encounter rate. I forget where it is in the 5 tiers in this version. But in the NES version, the Titan's Tunnel has an abnormally high encounter rate. Oh, an ambush for Cleric. Only 3 monsters, which is fortunate. And then there's that 6 shadow ambush for Chris. So if that had been the NES version, that actually would have been a preemptive rate against shadows. Oh, and then another 5 shadow ambush for Chris. Ooh. So because of that, Chris has now taken a small lead going into the Earth Cave. This time, instead of stopping at the vampire, they're just going to keep on going. Keep on keeping on. Oh, and then oh, I think Chris is getting my ambush rate. Anytime I run this game, I just get ambushed left and right. Cleric is getting some decent encounter luck. It's not the greatest, but he's not getting ambushed too many times, and he's going to safety save on the 3rd floor, which is always good. On the 3rd floor is your first real chance of game over. Because of these cockatrices. They can petrify. There's also hordes of undead, which can stun lock you and just bop you to death. And then our friendly Pisco Demons, like those Pisco Demons, they can come back in the same encounter rate as the Marsh Cave from 2 to 4. You still can't run from them, but that's really their only real threat. They can still hit hard, but now that you have stronger armor on, the chances of them killing you are low. At least in this version. If you're playing PlayStation or NES, you don't want to see these guys. Chris is in the 4th stage of, or I think the 5th stage of denial, where he's bargaining with the game, trying to release its grip on RNG. Cleric has now made his way to the 4th floor. And another ambush by Chris. Ouch. So painful. Oh, and there's 2 cockatrice ambush on Cleric's side. No petrifications. He is going to run eventually. Now, if he glitched the Mage's Staff, he can use it here to kill them because they are weak to fire. And he did glitch a Sage's Staff, so that would not be an issue. Oh, and then there's the Judgment Staff from more Pisco Demons, our friendly encounter. Pisco Demons give a decent amount of experience, but they're not great. So he'll have a slightly higher level since he's seen 3 of them already in here. I forget if he had any on the way down on the first trip. Alright, Basement 5. Lowest encounter rate in the game. There is a 1 in 64 Earth Elemental encounter on this floor. This is one of the 1 in 64s. We have not seen this tournament yet. Need some Bless RNG. And nothing for Cleric. He will safety save. We'll see if Chris gets it. Safety saving here because Lich has a 75% chance to cast magic every turn. His first turn, or his first spell in his magic order is Blizzara, which at this point in the game will one-shot us, no question. But Cleric dispatching of Lich, no problem. I think Chris is spoiling chat a little bit. And Chris having no issues dispatching the Lich, so Lich, not a problem. He never moved. But don't worry, he'll be back. Oh, he will be back and he will be painful. Or he'll be dead, either way. So we have another unavoidable cutscene. This is added to the Dawn of Souls version of the game. Every time you defeat one of the elemental fiends, it unlocks its corresponding Soul of Chaos dungeon by removing the sprite blocking the entrance. These dungeons are accessible to our runners. However, we will not be entering them in this category because they don't really serve any purpose other than using up time. So now what our runners will be doing is making our way back to the ship so we can go south and then west to Crescent Lake. Ogre Hyenodon encounter. Not rare, but uncommon. Oh, Sahagins on Sahagins have a high agility. They are difficult to run from. If Cleric had glitched the black robe, he could have used it here. Don't know if he did. Looks like Chris is going to be 3 tiles high of the dock. I'm not sure. I think Cleric is going to be 1 or 2. He's 1. Okay. And Chris is getting the RNG just thrown in his face tonight. One, two, three. Yep. Okay. 3 for Chris, 1 for Cleric. Well, it's better to undershoot it than overshoot it when it comes to map movement. Because if you overshoot it, then you're just wasting more movement time getting to where you need. So undershooting it is always better than overshooting it in this case. So now that Cleric is in Crescent Lake, he's going to sell his hammer, which will free up an inventory spot for his ethers. This is something relatively new to the tournament routing. This way they don't have to arrange their inventory to find their ethers. It'll always be in a convenient spot. And we're going to buy 2 items here, the Mithril Gloves from the Armor Shop, and then the Mithril Axe from the Weapon Shop. These will turn into the Lust Dagger from the Glove, respectively. And then the Black Garb from the axe. The black garb adds 10 points of agility for each one equipped, which will add 30 points. And then the lust dagger adds 20 points of agility, which will have a combined total of a 50-point agility boost for our mages. They will be very, very fast. They have a higher attack rate than the staff by a fair amount, but that's not really the point of equipping them. It's more for the agility boost. Alright, so Cleric has both of his mages equipped with lust daggers. Chris is trying to... Did he not buy his mithril gloves? He must not have. No, he didn't. Okay. Oops. Alright, so there's his lust dagger. This is having just a little bit of an issue with the equipment glitching. That can happen. Even the most experienced runners will have issues with menuing. I mentioned that earlier. It's a frame perfect input. So that Chris has his canoe, he will work his way out, and then northward towards the ice cave. Cleric is just about there. He's had a decent encounter rate on the river so far. River has a really low encounter rate. Normally you can't equip all that stuff in the same slot. It's the equipment glitch which is actually letting our runners do that. So we can have a ribbon and a helmet slot. Ribbons make good helmets, or they make good armors, they make good shields. The only one that won't change is weapons. Weapons will always be in the weapon slot. Alright, I did not see if Cleric safety saved in the ice cave. I hope he did. Because now this is where the run really gets... it's bless RNG all around. So many things can kill you in this cave. Like those Dark Wizards. Dark Wizards have a really high ambush rate, originally. The first spell they cast on their spell order, they have a 75% chance, is Firaga. At this point, you will be one-shotted by Firaga. The second spell, should you survive, the first one is Bane, Poison. Rip. Game over. Oh, it's no better here. The Ice Cave is still just as bad. We just have equipment to help mitigate that, but it is still a terrible dungeon. We have 1 in 64 Ice Dragon encounters on the first and second floor. We have 1 in 64 Ice Gigas encounters on the third floor. We have the Dark Wizards, which can kill you. We have Mind Flayers, which can kill you. We have Undead that can stun lock you. We have this Evil Eye, which can kill you. However, since we have a lot of agility on, the chances of that happening are near zero. So Cleric is defending. He wants the Evil Eye to cast Thundara. However, the Evil Eye is not being kind. Oh, there we go. So now that the Fighter and Thief are dead, he is intentionally killing them off. He will grind the mages to level 18. Oh, and there's the Ice Gigas encounter for Chris. Is that the third floor? If it is, that is a 1 in 64 encounter. Nope, that is the second floor. Okay. That is not the 1 in 64 encounter for that floor. That is not the rarest encounter on that floor. Chris opting not to heal his mages for the grind. That is a little risky. You can still get into random encounters on any other side of that spike tile. If it's anything with an ambush, you're probably dead. Alright, Chris is opting to safety save here. This is always a wise decision. If you die here, it's a pretty big setback. Because your last save is at the Earth Cave just before Lich, and that was a good 10 minutes ago. And oh, the Evil Eye is being just as not kind to Chris. Oh, although his thief got petrified, that is just as good as dead as far as we are concerned. Alright, I do not know what level Cleric's mages are at. But his Black Mage is already over 200 hit points. Okay, he is done with his grinding. 205 hit points on his Black Mage. That is a really good number. Now, he's purposefully not reviving his fighter here. That's because he wants his mages and his thief to get a little bit more experience, mainly for hit points, in hopes of less RNG in the final dungeon. Oh no, the 3 Dark Wizard ambush for Cleric, and he... Oh, this is bad. This is really bad. Oh, he's opting to run. Oh, this is dangerous. Okay, he's going to get away. Ooh. That had disaster written all over it. Those Dark Wizards are a very common encounter, and it's very easy to get one-shotted by them. Okay, and then he's going to follow it up with some Pisco Demons. He should be okay. He's just going to find his Judgment Staff so he can use it. If he had agility, or not agility, if he had intelligence boosted gauntlets, he could use that here. The Pisco Demons are neutral to lightning. And he's out. Okay, so Cleric is out. Had a close call there. And now Chris is opting to soften his Thief. So his Thief will have the same experience boost as Cleric is going for. And this is all in hopes of getting some more hit points. So the final battle with Chaos is not RNG heavy. And Chris's Black Mage also having over 200 hit points after the grind. So both of our runners are in good shape for hit point totals. Chris getting the Dark Wizard encounter was not an ambush. And he is now out. Cleric is getting not the greatest ocean RNG. But with his agility boosted equipment now, it's less of a factor, and he is about to ditch that ship. And Chris having a 0 encounter... Oh, never mind. I was just going to say 0 encounter ocean trip to the airship, but nope. Oh, and then the disembark tile battle, which turned into an ambush. That is unfortunate. Alright, looks like GreenCleric is parking just a little further away. Those two tiles right next to the water there, where the water's pointing up, that bottom tile is a safe landable spot for your airship. He took a safety save there to avoid that sandworm encounter. Who's casting Earthquake? And he's now probably dead. Oh, that was close. Oh, but he gets away. Okay. That is why we safety save, folks. And when you get about 3/4 of the way through that desert, that's when the threshold changes to a different encounter grid, so you don't have to worry about sandworms. But that first section there where you land, that's where the big desert encounters happen. You can get tyrannosaurs, you can get the sandworms. Sandworms are 3 in 64. They are relatively rare, but they can still kill you because you have no elemental protection. And if you see Earthquake, you're probably dead. So Cleric got lucky. He did safety save, that was good, but he still got lucky where he didn't get wiped out. But now both of our runners are in the Citadel. They have to talk to the old man. It's the only way to start the dungeon, to start the trial. And they're going through this teleporter maze of teleporters. There's actually a quick way to go through the maze. Take the bottom teleporter of any groups, and you'll always advance. The only unrunnable encounter in this dungeon are... Actually, there's two. The Minotaur zombies and the Dragon zombies are both unrunnable encounters in this dungeon. So basically, if it's undead, you can't run from it in here. Which is funny, because the mummies are undead. You can run from them. Cleric opting to run from the nightmares and gets away. Ooh. That is a hard battle to get away from at this point. You're usually better off just killing them. Chris, once again, with some Minotaur zombies. These Minotaur zombies have about 230 hit points. They're weak to fire. You can't run from them. They are famously seen on the Peninsula of Power, along with trolls. And this dungeon has a notable 1 in 64 encounter called the Dragon Zombie. You will always see the Dragon Zombie on the spike tile guarding the exit chair, but it is also a rare encounter in this dungeon, which our runners could see. However, most of the time, it's mostly just me that sees them. But that is a story for another day. Looks like Cleric is going to get away without the random encounter. They'll just fight him on the spike tile. They do have the chance of dropping the Mega Elixir. It's a very rare drop from them. And Chris is fighting some Horn Devils. They are extremely dangerous in the NES version because they cast Fire 2 as opposed to Fire 1 starting in the PlayStation version. That's actually one change from the NES, which PlayStation opted to do. They actually nerfed these guys a little bit and just changed their spell. Them and the Man-Cats. Normally they cast Fire 2, but they cast Fire in all versions after. Chris has his Rat's Tail. He has not seen the rare 1 in 64 in this dungeon. He will get out. Cleric is just about on his way back. And with that Dragon Zombie kill, his mages are now level 19, and his fighter, or his thief I should say, should have just gained that extra couple levels, and hopefully his hit points will be out of the danger zone. Oh, but Chris's Black Mage only has 206 HP. He has not really gained much since that. Cleric's Black Mage has 230. He's in much better shape. Cleric is looking for Bahamut's Cave. Oh, that's not the right spot, Cleric. That's Hellfire. We don't want to go to Hellfire. You gotta go north. Go east. There you go. Alright, Chris saw an Allosaurus. That is not the rare. Tyrannosaur is green. Alright, so we got another high five coming up from our runners here. And both runners have talked to Bahamut. Going to the Citadel Trials to get that rat's tail is a symbol of courage. So it's basically just a Triforce. Bahamut will take that from you and grant you a class upgrade. So our Warriors of Light are now more advanced. They can equip more things. They can learn more abilities. They are now better versions of themselves. And really the only reason why we class change is so we can get 2 spells. Hilara, which is not a class upgrade needed, and Teleport, which is class upgrade required. And Chris, looking like he got lost. They're both on their way to the caravan to buy the bottled fairy and some Giant Tonics. Giant Tonics are a safety strat for later. For the final boss. They may not be required. We don't know yet. We're not going to know until we get to the end. But the bottle fairy is a key item. It is required to advance to the Sunken Shrine. But for now, we're going to enter the city of Gaia, where we released the bottle fairy. We're going to go to the back end of town and find the pond in which it resides, and it's going to give us some Oxy Ale, the best liquor you can ever get. It lets us breathe underwater. And that is another high five from our runners. So now that they have their Oxy Ale, their next step is actually going to be towards the volcano to fight Malarith. After that, they will proceed to Elftown and Melmond, where they will pick up their spells that they need, and then proceed to the Sunken Shrine. Small chance of game over in this dungeon, just because these lava tiles will reduce your HP by 1 every time you step on one. They have the added benefit of not increasing the encounter rate, or not increasing the step counter, so you will not get into battles while stepping on the lava tiles. These Hellhounds, they can use a fire breath attack, which will hurt just a little bit, and Fire Hydras have the same or a similar breath attack, which can hurt, and if you're low enough because of walking on the lava, it can kill you. The runner is usually aware of this. Oh, Cleric. Don't get lost. Both of our runners having really good in volcanoes. Just 2 battles each so far. Bottom floor has a 1 in 64 encounter, the Red Dragon. The second and third floors have a Fire Elemental 1 in 64 encounter. Neither one appeared. And both of our runners fighting Malorith at the same time effectively. And both are going to get the sub-hour on her, it looks like. She has 1440 HP. And Cleric looks like he just overkilled her a little bit. I didn't catch the damage that Chris did, but we got the sub-hour on Malorith. So second Fiend down, sub-hour. We have approximately 35 minutes left of this run. Our next unskippable cutscene. We see the removal of Malorith's statue from the Hellfire Chasm. Oh, Cleric looks like he forgot where he wanted to go for a second. So now... Oh, and Cleric overshot Elf Town. Both of our runners are returning here for level 4 magic, basically haste. Chris's ninja is not high enough to learn it, neither is Cleric's. They have to be level 15 to learn it. This basically means that they won't have 2 characters with the spell haste for the final fight, which is fine. It's not necessary, it just helps. But now both runners have Healara and Teleport. So we have Mass Healing available for the rest of the game, and Teleport, which has 3 uses. 2 of them are coming up in the Sunken Shrine, 1 in the Waterfall. And Chris is going to do some world map equipment glitching. We'll see if he gets music glitch. Looks like Cleric forgot where to park. And Cleric having some not great encounter luck on his way up to Onrak. Oh, blue-haired NPC got in the way again. I so called it an hour ago. That's not something I want to call. Don't worry, we'll be seeing blue-haired NPC one more time this run. Now that both of our runners are in the Sunken Shrine, it's got a great soundtrack, by the way. They will proceed upwards through the shrine to get to the Mermaid's Floor, where we will find the Rosetta Stone. There are 3 unrunnable encounters in this dungeon, 3 unique ones. We have a water elemental, which if it shows up by itself, you cannot run from. It can also appear with a water naga, which you can run from. There is the Sahagan Prince and Chief combo that Cleric is now seeing. You cannot run from them. And then there's the Ghost Encounter, which is a variation of the Death Eye. And speaking of variations, the Sahagan Prince Chief is a variation of the Pirate Fight, which is why you cannot run from that one. Oh, and there's the second unrunnable for Cleric. These ghosts only have about 180 hit points. If his agility, or not his agility, I said that again. If his intelligence was boosted high enough, he could just use gauntlets to finish him off. It's just a matter of personal preference, really. Chris is going for the light axe on the second floor, which is just a little bit faster in terms of movement. However, the encounter rates would disagree, and he has a ghost. So now Cleric has his Rosetta Stone. He's going to teleport back. Let's see if he does the second floor light axe strat. No, he's not. He's going straight down. So we'll see if Chris is able to make up a little bit of time from this decision. The encounter rate on this floor is not being kind. So there's his light axe. That is one of two in this dungeon. You can use either one. They turn it into the survival vest. Survival vest adds 15 points of agility and stamina. And with 4 of them on, that's 60 points of agility that's boosted. And now he's got his White Mage intelligence boosted with 2 Lordly Robes. You'll notice he did not put the Lordly Robes on the armor slot. That's because the game actually hard codes a check on the armor slot for the Lordly Robes. And if it is found, it gives the player regeneration in battle. And that is actually something we want to avoid, because all it does is waste animation time for the tick. Hit points are not an issue. If this was all bosses, we would be seeing Lordly Robes on that slot. Alright, Cleric now has his light axe. He's going to glitch now. I do not believe we'll see either runner opt to pick up the ribbon on this floor. It's actually been proven that the ribbon, picking it up on this floor, actually has too much of a risk of encounters, but it just adds about 12 steps, which on this floor could be tragic, just because of how much time it can take up. Instead, they'll just either opt to pick up the light axe or just move on through. And Chris, having a much better encounter rate on his way down, he is almost at Kraken. And the game can release the Kraken. Cleric having a little issue with his menuing. I think he's set now. Yes. He is going to move on. And Chris just opening up and taking out Kraken. Kraken, on this version, on this category, is a non-threat. This particular fight only has physical attacks, which, if you were playing any other version, would be an absolute threat because you can get one-shotted. But since our defense is so high, the only way Kraken could kill any of your characters is with a critical hit. And his critical hit rate, not the greatest. So even if he did, at best he can kill one character. So Kraken is down for both of our runners. Not an issue in the slightest. Our next unskippable cutscene, we have 2 left in this run. Now Chris is on his way out. He is going to go up to the waterfall. Waterfall Cavern has one key item, the Warp Cube, which will be used to transport ourselves from the Mirage Tower to the Flying Fortress. But more importantly, it has the game's second ribbon. Second of three. Three if you're playing the original NES version and PlayStation. It is second of, well, I think there's Infinite in Dawn of Souls and PSP. Not including the equipment glitch. But the Soul of Chaos dungeons have ribbon drops, which you can get to complete the set. But Waterfall Cavern has a very notable rare encounter in here. That is our friend the Green Dragon. You cannot run from the Green Dragon. However, since you have Survival Vest on, you have Poison Elemental Protection, it will not pose much of a threat because it always appears by itself. It will not kill you as long as you're healed up. The rest of our encounters in here, we have the Nightmares, which are pretty common. You can run from them easier now with the Survival Vests. Still not the greatest chances of running. You have our Clay Golems, which you've seen once already. We have the Mummies. And then we have Cockatrices and Pyralisks, which we'll see again. And that's basically it for this dungeon. This dungeon's pretty much nondescript. It's just encounter rate and get through it. Now, Chris, banking on not being able to run that easily from the Nightmares, is opting to fight. Not a bad strategy, especially if there's one. If you get a preemptive as an automatic run success, as long as you run, or try to. And the robot is in a pretty good spot for both of our runners. Chris is in the perfect spot to pick up his ribbon. Cleric has to go one extra step, but it's not an issue. Opting to glitch it onto the warrior because the warrior can equip the barbarian sword naturally. One of two classes that can. And now all he has to do is glitch the ribbon onto the remaining open slot. The ribbon is one of a few items that can safely go on the shield slot. I did not touch on this earlier. Most non-shield items that go in the shield slot will crash a game because the game is trying to pull an animation from outside of its area of where it can pull animations from. So when it references something that it normally doesn't reference, in the case of most items, it'll just hard lock the system and crash the game. In the case of a few items like the ribbon, the lordly robes, it'll actually pull up a sword swinging animation, which will not crash the game. And that is why the ribbon, survival vest, lordly robes, feathered cap are all safe to use. I believe there's a couple other items that can go in that slot, but those are just the items that have been tested. And, oh, Cleric parked all the way down there. Okay. Eventually, I'm sure more items will be tested, but for now, that's what we know. Oh, Dr. Oon, not really in a good spot for either of our runners. Chris is now moving towards Lufenia, and he's taking the long way. Yep, he is definitely taking the long way, but that's okay. He's going to lose about 10 seconds from that, but overall not bad. An ambush can do worse than that. And Cleric is going the shorter way. but he did not move far enough left, so now he's wrapping around and actually going the long way, so he's going to lose more time because of that. And now he overshot it. Oh, there it is. Minotaur zombies are the only unrunnable encounter you'll see on the way to and from Lufenia. Oh, the Winter Wolves. Yeah. A very famous enemy in the Peninsula Power farming. See, Chris's Black Mage has 208 hit points. Cleric's has 234. His Ninja has 219. Cleric's looks like he's going to be okay for HP for the final battle. It's still a little early to determine, but it's looking like he's in good shape. And Chris getting all kinds of Minotaur zombies on the way back. Oh, and that was a great axe drop from on Chris's end there. That might screw up his glitching later. No, it's just a pathing thing. If you go west from Melmond, you can get to Lufenia shorter, but if you go east from Lufenia, it just adds about 5, 6 seconds, 8, 10 seconds, something like that. But it is definitely faster to go west from Melmond to get to Lufenia. And now it looks like Cleric is going to get his share of Minotaur zombies on the way back. Alright, Cleric is just about within range of the Tyrannosaur 164 encounter. We'll see if he gets it. And we need some Blue Dragon 164 hype for Chris. Oh, no Blue Dragon 164 hype, just a spike tile. You'll always encounter the Blue Dragon on that tile. I didn't catch that on Cleric's end. Is that the spike tile or is that the 164? We'll find out in a second. That is a 1 in 64 for GreenCleric. Oh, wow. So we have seen our first notable rare encounter of the race. Of course, we have our big one. We have Warmech appearing very soon, hopefully. So we need some Bless RNG and Warmech hype in the chat, please. I am unable to make the clip myself, otherwise I would have. My internet not so good. It doesn't go as fast as everyone's, but that is a story for another day. Right now, we are on the second to last floor of the dungeon for Chris. He is working his way towards the top, and we want to see some Warmech hype for this race. Of course, we could just see air elementals too. That's perfectly fine. And now GreenCleric has made up some time. Chris, don't spoil it for everyone. He's telling us in chat before the race actually gets a chance to see it. And Cleric working his way up. Do we have a Warmech? Nope, that's an aerial elemental. Chris is just about to start this Tiamat fight. Should be over quickly. And gonna go with the haste strats on the ninja. This will effectively one-shot Tiamat. Oh wow, that was a weak hit. 1600 damage. That was a relatively weak hit by the ninja, but still got the one round. Cleric opting not to do haste. Tiamat being kind, not using Thunderbolt, is going to go for the 2 round. And he's got it. All right, so GreenCleric is in the chat saying he is not watching. Oh, this is a phone call I have to take. AFK for one. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was a vehicular call. That was just trying to get my hands on a new car. I was not expecting a phone call back from them tonight. I did see a GreenCleric 3 and 64 Dark Fighter encounter on his way out. No Warmech, though. And here we are going into the final stretch. And Chris opening up with some unrunnable purple worms. There are tons of unrunnables in this dungeon. Like half the dungeon you can't run from at all. It's just a pain. Purple worms are just the tip of the iceberg. Oh, and there's our green dragons. You can't run from them. They are weak to ice, so if he has black robes, he can use that. Otherwise, he'd probably using Judgment Staff. Okay, I saw black robes. I saw GreenCleric is going to reset because he saw white dragons. What I think that was an ambush. Does not want to deal with that. Now he's got a purple worm encounter that's much better. You can't run from them. They're much easier to kill. You don't have to worry about them. As a troll, they could drop the emergency exit. It's a relatively rare drop. Nothing to worry about, though. The Death Eye has the rare Mega Elixir drop, I believe. But otherwise, they're just not worth killing. They only have about 280 hit points, or like 300, something like that. They only give 1 experience, 1 gil. They do have that Mega Elixir drop, but it is extremely rare. Oh, and GreenCleric with green dragons. He also has black robes, and we'll be doing that. Oh, Chris drew the 1 in 64 Dragon Zombie Vampire Lord encounter. Okay. That one is runnable. And then follows it up with the unrunnable Ice Gigas encounter. Oh, that figures. Ooh, Chris opting to use Judgment Staff. He could have done Mage's Staff and it would have killed... His intelligence boosted. I believe that would have killed the Ice Gigas. I could be mistaken on that. Oh, and then he gets another one. Opting to use Judgment Staff. So here he is, back on the first floor, the back end of the first floor. Another purple worm that is unrunnable. We have seen all kinds of unrunnables so far. Cleric now getting his share of Ice Gigas encounters, which you cannot run from. He is also using Judgment Staff, so he's not gaining any time. And another purple worm by Chris. Wow, the unrunnables so far are not kind to either of the two racers. But Chris has made it to the Lich's floor. There's only one unrunnable on this floor, that is the Earth Elementals. Everything else you can escape from. And looks like he's going to get through the floor without incidents. He is... Oh, I thought he almost stepped on Lich's tile there. Before opting that safety save. That could have been dangerous. Cleric now entering Lich's floor. 2,500. Okay, it's not enough to defeat Lich. Lich has about 2,700 HP. Oh, Cleric getting that Earth Elemental. Now, if he has a Mage's Staff, he can use that here. And that will kill them. Chris dispatching Lich. Lich has a 75% chance to cast magic, just like his first fight. First spell on his magic order, Flare. That'll kill two of his characters. We did not see that. And so he'll be okay. Now, Cleric making it to Lich. He is safety saving. And Cleric, oh, his ninja is at 288 hit points. His black mage is at 263. Yeah, I do not think he will need to use any Giant Tonics for Chaos's fight. Chris, his ninja is already at 300 hit points, and his black mage is at 267. He is just on the outside edge of safety. So both these runners picked up Giant's Tonics. They may not need them. But if HP growth is bad for the rest of this dungeon, they might still have to use it. It just depends on how RNG goes. Chris having no trouble with Malorith. Cleric getting a green lava worm ambush. And now here he is with Malorith. Chris getting a unfortunate ambush with some deep eyes and the Great Whites. But with status protection from the ribbon, mostly elemental protection, they don't have to worry about any kind of status effect landing now for the rest of the game. So they are not a threat. The only unrunnable on this floor is the water elementals. Like that. They do have other healing spells prior to class up, but they are not used in this category. They do have Cure, Kira, and Kiraga available, and they also have Heal and Healara. Healara is not a classic required spell. So he could have gotten that before class up. That would not have been an issue. Cleric made up a lot of time on that water floor. And Kraken still not much of an issue. He hits harder, but we are so well defended that we don't have to worry about it. He has a multi-target Thundara spell, but because of ribbons, that's very minimal damage. And Chris getting no randoms between Kraken and Tiamat. Oh, looks like Cleric got one. Yep, elementals. Yeah. They're both on the Tiamat fight. On the refight. Tiamat refight has a Rune Staff rare drop. Rune Staff casts Hilara when used as an item. It is an item that Orthros will drop in the Whisperwind Cove. Ooh, Tiamat getting that Thundara, or Thunderbolt, I mean. And Chris with the kill. And Cleric with the kill. Okay. This is going to come down to chaos. This is coming down to the wire. And Chris is healing up just in case something happens. There is a 1 in 64 Iron Golem, which can appear on Tiamat's floor. However, the floor is very small. You generally don't have to worry about it. So now they are setting up for their final glitching. They're going to safety save. And here we go for chaos. He's explaining the whole time loop process, which is silly. Don't you just love it when bad guys always explain their plan just before the final battle? Alright, so Chris is Black Mage just outside of safety range, so he is opting to use the Giant's Tonics on his Black Mage. He should not die, but you never know with RNG. Shouldn't die first turn because Blaze does not hit that hard. It's... oh, wow. Oh, he forgot to put ribbons on. Oh, Chris forgot to put ribbons on. That's why it killed him. He is opting not to care about the ribbons. He is going to go for it. Cleric using a Giant's Tonic on his Ninja. Okay. His Ninja is pretty much safe. Cleric has his ribbons on, so he is going to survive. And if once Cleric is able to get haste on his fighter and Black Wizard, he will be in hold A to win mode. Chris is gonna start the fight again. Oh, and he's gonna get Blaze again. Oh, and he's gonna reset. Is he gonna put the ribbons on this time? It looks like it. He is going to re-safety save in case something else goes wrong. He should be safe now. But now Cleric has hasted up all three of his party members. He is in hold A to win mode, so let's see what happens. Oh, 1500 damage from that Black Mage. That's a good damage roll. Chaos is a skill set, not being kind to Cleric. And he should almost be dead. Chris is getting Blaze. Looks like he's going to get the skill set from Chaos. But it looks like Chris is pretty safe now. Oh, and that is it. That is a victory for Cleric. That he finished with a real time of 1:34.32, finishing with official SRL time of 1:34.32. GG to Cleric. And oh, Chris is going to use a healing staff. Okay. He's a little worried about his mage's HP totals, and oh, this tsunami might kill both of his mages. Ooh, that was close. The heal staff does not heal for much, especially from the fighter who has low intelligence, but with supplement that with Healara, and he should be relatively safe from the rest of Chaos's attacks. He's just going to have his Black Mage do healing until he gets to better HP totals, I think. Oh, and more skill set for Chris. Ouch. Chaos was just not nice to either of our runners tonight. But Chris is in pretty much safety range here. He should be in hold aid to win mode at this point. Ouch. Chaos is being very picky with who he picks on tonight. And Earthquake, which is now useless. And that is a done for Chris. He finishes with a real time of 1:36.48, official SRL time of 1:36.49. GG to Chris. Why, hello.
I'm so irritated. I freaking forgot the ribbons and the barb sword twice. But I ran noteless. RNG was kind of bad, but I wanted that win so badly. I wanted it, but I PB'd. So I'm not too mad.
You did PB? GG on that, by the way. And joining us now is GreenCleric. Hello.
Hey, hello.
Congrats on the win.
GG on the victory.
Yeah, I saw come from behind, or...
Okay, so what happened? We went into Chaos about the same time. I forgot to put the ribbon and the barb sword on my Black Mage twice.
Oh.
So I wiped twice. I could have had a sub 135, and that's been my goal for a while, and I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But
if it makes you guys feel any better, you guys were trading the lead back and forth all race tonight.
Well, good. I mean, at least we put on a show tonight, which is good.
Yeah, you did. It was an excellent race from both of you. Just the one notable 1-in-64 encounter for GreenCleric. That was a blue dragon.
Yep, about time I got one of those. Of course, it's not the 1-in-64 encounter that everybody wants, but you take what you can get.
Yeah, that's okay.
Get any, so don't feel bad. Oh, I think we're both tied with no encounters either. And
right.
But congrats on the race. I do believe that makes you move on.
I believe so.
I do not know. I can check.
Yeah, because his average is a lot better than mine. So even with this one, it's just going to bring his average even further down.
Well, not only that, Chris, you have 4 losses in the tournament. Cleric has 2 victories. So just on victories alone, Chris, you will be advancing to the next stage of the tournament?
I won't. Cleric will.
Oh, yes, Cleric. You will be advancing to the next stage of the tournament. I'm getting you guys confused. You're all one person.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
Well, at least we won and lost at the same time.
One thing I'm thinking about that run, because you said it was close up until the end. I mean, the start of Chaos Temple was probably pretty bad. Reset right away, and then every unrunnable encounter under the sun for the first part, and then all of a sudden, once you got into Kraken's floor, it was like, okay, this is pretty easy.
Yeah, that's where you caught up. I had quite a bit of unrunnables. Caught up on Kraken's floor. I do believe we killed Tiamat around the same time, and then I messed up on Chaos twice. Otherwise, we would have been a lot closer.
Actually, the unrunnables were not nice to either one of you. Every floor had an unrunnable for both of you, except for Cleric. I think you just had no unrunnables on Kraken's floor, or Malara's floor. But other than that, you guys had unrunnables everywhere.
Oh yeah, it was not kind at all. Not kind at all.
Not at all. But you know what? I can't complain about the RNG too much. I PB'd off this run, so I can complain about my performance on Chaos. That's about all I got.
Congrats on the PB, man.
Thanks. I don't actually know how much I PB'd by because I wasn't running against my actual splits.
Well, you beat your race PB by 3 minutes 2 seconds.
Yeah, I beat my actual PB by 1 minute and it looks like 11 seconds. So, it's not too bad. I'll take it.
No, not too bad at all. I mean, especially with this race, I thought, given the first 2 races was kind of getting all the rust off and not very kind, bunch of little mistakes here and there, I was much happier with this one. I mean, I felt like it was closer, it was a lot closer to my PB, and as well, it was just, nothing too crazy, just a little bit of, the good and bad RNG. It's Final Fantasy, so you're going to take what you can get. But, no, I mean, I was happy with that run, and I mean, like I said, I'm happy that we could both put on a show here tonight.
Yeah, because that's been my past couple of runs. Like, even my last race with Cruel, I was executing really good, and then RNG just... I've had a 142 this entire time, and I'm so happy to actually have something sub 140 in this tournament.
Well, yeah, my first 2 times are right around there, 140 and I think just a little under, so I'll definitely take a 134 for sure.
Right. I got nothing else, man.
Oh, that is quite all right. Chris, any final thoughts about your performance in the group stage?
I wish my runs would have been better. This run, I am actually really appreciative of. The game, while not being too kind to me, was not an absolute jerk to me. So I'll take it. And then everything other than that was my own screw-ups. But I ran this one completely noteless. And that comes a long way for me as a runner because of the fact that I've not been able to run without notes for the longest time. I've had to shorten notes down. This run completely noteless.
Okay, Cleric, any thoughts about your final match? You have one more against Cruel coming up on Friday.
Yeah, one more. That's going to be it's going to be a special 8 a.m. start time Eastern. So that's basically going to be me getting up, waking up from bed, and then 15 minutes later starting a race before I go to work. So that's really going to be. But no, I mean, at least the good thing's the pressure's off for that one. At least it's not you have to win or something like that. So I mean, I'm definitely going to see what I can do. I mean, Cruel's an excellent opponent. I think we all know that. He's definitely going to be one of the favorites in the tournament. But we'll give it a shot there, and then we'll see how it goes in the next round. But we'll see. I mean, I'm I'm happy my performance is improving a little bit. So I mean, we're gonna see what happens going on.
Okay, so I just want to say this as your opponent. I want you to win, and I want you to PB that race versus Cruel.
Okay, and there's no ulterior motives or anything about that, is there?
Well, I mean, he's going to move on regardless, but I'd like to see somebody take a win off of him.
Yeah, that if you beat him on Friday, that'll put you both at 3-1. I think he'll still have the better overall average, but for seeding purposes, that'll help your position for the next stage of the tournament.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, like I say, he's a pretty tough opponent. But I mean, I'll just I'll see how I can do. Never race that early in the morning, so I'm gonna see how I can do. But quietly confident. We'll just put it at that.
Realistically, I just want to see a close race. I've been casting, like, the last two that I've casted have been really close. So I just want to see a close race.
Well, we'll see if it's anything like tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. And we still have one more race left in the Group C. There is a possibility of a three-way tie of 2-2 between Roach, Stravars, and Starcrawl. They could all end up being 2-2 when this last race is done. What do you guys think will happen? Will Roach pull up the victory, go 3-1, or will he lose and have the three-way tie and potentially have a tiebreaker?
Well, looking at their times, because I actually have these group standings up, Roach may pull off a win. Starcrawl's best time isn't too far off Roach's, just about 3 minutes. And Final Fantasy 1 being Final Fantasy 1, anything can happen. I'm hoping that it's 2-2 down the board, just because I want to see it happen. But their group seems to be the closest one yet, so...
It's definitely. I mean, Roach, with his average, I think even with a loss, I would still favor him going through. But Starcrawl, if he can pull out that upset there, averages are very close. I think, it is the Total Chaos tournament. Would be nice to see just a little bit of chaos in that group going in to see where it all lands.
Yeah,
definitely. All right, I think that's actually going to do it for us. We have one more match scheduled for Friday, March 2nd at 8 a.m., as Cleric already alluded to, where we will have one more match to finish up our group stage between Roach and Starcrawl. We'll get that scheduled at some point. And then we'll move on to the as of yet announced next phase of the tournament.
So I guess it's 3. I got some shout outs.
The mystery is we're gonna switch the tournament. It's gonna be Final Fantasy 2 from here on out.
That would be chaos. All right, Chris, what kind of shout outs do you got?
Okay, so first off, I want to give a shout out to Lenofis for commentating this run like last second.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So I really want to give a shout out to him. We asked about it like 3 minutes before this race started, and he's like, "Yeah, I can do it." So, shout outs to him. Shout outs to Feasel and Speed Gaming crew. Fantastic people to work with. Always able to host for the most part this tournament and pretty much every other tournament so far. And it's always a pleasure to watch those tournaments that they host. Shoutouts to GreenCleric for the amazing race today. And shoutouts to Chet for actually joining us. I'm good. Whatever you guys got.
Well said, sir.
It helps being a commentator as well.
It does. Commentators are the real MVP, although I am not worthy.
The real
Don't
MVP
sell yourself
is the
short,
restreamer. Commentators are the MVPs, but the real MVPs are the restreamers. They have a really tough job, which
they do.
I think Green and I are both restreamers, so
right. But one of the good things is we haven't. We're we're able to do it if we need to. But I mean, again, shout outs to Fiesel, the whole Speed Gaming crew. I mean, you know, not just our tournament, but I mean, a lot of, I mean, you look at the list, that everything going on. I mean, now we have 5 Speed Gaming channels. So I mean,
actually,
they're
up to 8.
Actually, yeah, we're up to 8 now.
Yeah,
we're up to 8.
They're
yes,
up to 8.
The other day we're going, okay, so we're gonna be the first race christening the new Speed Gaming 5 channel. Okay, we're up to 8 now. Okay. So
Yeah.
definitely mad shout outs to the entire crew, because I mean, yeah, they got their work cut out for them in a good way, mind you.
Yeah, because I mean, between Link to the Past, Key Sanity, Mario 3 randomizer, which I do believe Lenofis is in.
I am, and I will be advancing to. Well, I have advanced to the second part of the tournament for that,
as well as the Super Metroid multi-category tournament, which you're also in. I do. Believe.
I don't think I'll be advancing. I don't think I'll be advancing to top 8 in that one though.
And then, yeah, just a whole bunch of other tournaments. So definitely give them a follow, subscribe. They are worth it.
Most definitely. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Coming up in about an hour on this channel will be a Zelda 1 randomizer. I do not know who is racing that. Coming up in just a couple of minutes on Speed Gaming 1, there will be a Link to the Past Key Sanity match, easy for me to say. And then to finish off at 2 a.m., coming up in, let's see here, 5 hours, we have a Super Metroid multi-category match.
Nice.
That channel is not yet announced, but it will be on the Speed Gaming Network. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, everyone. I am Leno. Chris and Cleric, thank you guys for doing the interview, for giving some shout-outs.
Not a problem.
And we'll see you guys next time.
All right, night.
Have a good one.